Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and it's Super Bowl Sunday, and the snow is coming down outside, and I have another video for you on the subject of recovery heals wounds infected with victim mentality. Those of you who've watched my last two videos know that I've been dialoguing with a fella named GE from Holland, and I got a couple of more emails from GE, and they're shorter, and this will be, I think, the last installment of these dialogues, but I thought he sent some good words my way, and I wanted to send some words back his way. So I did edit GE's first email. There were some, in my opinion, some victim sentences and some victim words, and I didn't want them to infect the video too much, so I scaled them down a little bit and just sort of kept the non-infected stuff, so in my opinion. So anyway, GE writes, hello Mark, I gave this topic of victim mentality some thought. I know I sometimes do get triggered by certain comments or certain styles of communication or thoughts expressed by others due to my past experiences. I don't know the person, if I don't know the person that I'm talking with, then of course I can make some faulty perceptions. It's about how that person makes me feel in the moment. And so I wanted to address that a little bit. If you meet somebody and they give you an uncomfortable feeling, it might be that they're pushing some buttons. So we shouldn't go around and really only trust how we feel, whether it's super positive or super negative around somebody, because those feelings might not be very accurate. So I had a couple that I saw this past week, and it was late into the evening, and I was tired, and I didn't have a lot of energy, but these were veterans of recovery, so I thought things were going to go really well. So the man comes in, and he's down, he's sad, he looks like a little boy. He's coming across like nobody loves me and I need to go eat worms. You know, that's clearly a button had been pressed. And his wife was tearful and sad and coming across more like, why can't I do anything right? So they were activating each other. They felt like they were being made to feel a certain way in the moment, when in reality it really wasn't about their spouse, it was about their childhood wounds. So what makes therapy so helpful and so valuable is people are coming in and they're saying, we might have some blind spots. We're open to that notion, and we're open to the notion that we might need some feedback from a third party who has experience with these blind spots. So I pointed out that the husband's button had been clearly pressed by a childhood wound, and then he hurled a rock at his wife, which squarely struck one of her childhood wounds. So she inadvertently hit a button of his, and then he went on the attack and hit a button of hers. So rather than make the discussion about the content of what was being discussed, I made it the focus of the discussion be about the hot buttons and the childhood wounds and the overreactions. And as soon as I pointed out these hot buttons, both husband and wife had a look of clarity in their face. They stopped looking pouty. They brightened up. They had hope. They had a reason why they were going through that particular bit of sadness. So it brought magic into the scenario. It brought magic into the room. So it's real important to understand what triggers you and not give other people the power to what feels like re-victimize you. This is where GE is misunderstanding some things and needs more insight. Just because his wife touched on this fellow's particular hot button didn't mean she was re-victimizing him, even though it felt like to the husband that he clearly was being dragged back there. That wasn't the case. GE writes, and you're right, Mark, it is totally my issue what I do with my being triggered, because they are my feelings and my thoughts. But when GE likes, he frequently has buts in dialoguing with me. But when I express my feelings and thoughts to a person that I disagree with or feel hurt by or offended by, and then when this person's reaction is, I think that you are projecting, then it's a no-brainer, and it's them that's doing the projecting in my view, and it's not going to help anybody, it's not going to comfort anybody, and it's not going to bring understanding. So this is incorrect. This is actually wrong thinking, and I hope GE sort of watches this video and gains some insight in this direction. Therapy is just priceless in its role in helping couples to recognize each other's hot buttons. When a therapist sits in a room with a couple, hopefully they create a safe environment that the couple can dialogue in and not react. He reacts, she reacts, he reacts, she reacts. Just the presence of the therapist and the knowledge that they're going to recognize the real family of origin issues behind the current day issues makes the room feel more safe. Eventually, as couples do effective work upon themselves, they'll be able to have that kind of feedback for each other without the therapist in the room. Put that money toward a vacation or toward a really lovely night out rather than paying the therapist. Where, let's say your partner, let's go back to this couple. Let's say he starts to be a pouty boy, and she understands which button was hit and why, and she'll say, "Hey, honey, I'm pretty sure that one of them buttons, this one over here, was hit when I said such and such. No, I think, honey, I think that's your childhood wound. I didn't mean to hit it, and I'm sorry that I ran into it, but that's not what I meant, and that's not who I am. That's about your childhood, and I love you, and I think we have a misunderstanding going on. So she reaches in and pulls a thorn out of his paw. And then, more importantly, he's able to hear it. He's not in, I'm a 4-year-old, you're my mean mama, and I'm not going to listen to a dang thing you say mode. He's in ears wide open, really paying attention and hearing what his wife has to say. And then she's able to show him empathy and not think, well, he's being a jerk, rather than know that he's being a wounded little boy and he needs some tenderness and some nurturing. So GE wrote, in your last video, I heard you say 4 things to me. Number 1, that my perceptions of my feelings are largely projections. So GE, that's not really what I was saying. They become projections when you put them on other people, when you are angry at the world, when you think negatively about a person who's hurt you in a relationship, and then you paste upon them that they're your vicious mother. That's a projection. But just your perception of the feeling, it's not a projection until you paste it onto somebody else. There's so many reactions that we have that we can't really control. It might be a shame reaction, a post-traumatic stress reaction, an abandonment reaction. If you're in therapy with a therapist, you might react to them, have a transference reaction. These are all sort of neutral. They're not victimy. If you have them, you have them, but then you step back and objectively assess them, and you don't judge people, plus minus them, rage at them, put them down, be reactive with them, but you simply report what's coming up for you. Honey, when you did such and such, what came up for me was that I'm not good enough, and that hurt. So that's what's going on with me. That's why I'm acting a little goofy. GE writes, the third thing that I had commented on, if I'm greatly offended, then that is 100% my issue. And usually the case is actually, GE, that people usually don't get offended just out of the blue. They don't get their buttons pushed by the wind. They don't get their buttons pushed by nothing. They get their buttons pushed by something really teeny tiny, this big. There's 10% judgment here, but that hits the button and it causes you to activate the other 90% that's about your childhood. So you feel like there's been 100% attack, and it was only this 10%. So I think people need to know the little tiny ways that, in fact, that they can activate their spouses in a reactive tussle. But the main thing is you need to be aware that when that button is pressed, the overreaction is from your family of origin. And you need to own that and quit blaming other people and quit going through life feeling vulnerable and victimized. Nobody can victimize you without your full cooperation and support. Number 3, when you have a chip on your shoulder, you have victim mentality. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, GE. A chip on your shoulder is a wound from your childhood, is an attitude, is victim mentality. And the last thing I suggested is that GE listen with a beginner's mind. And beginner's mind isn't about feeling like you're not qualified. Everybody, I think, should operate from beginner's mind. It's about humility and brokenness and being open to feedback regarding your blind spots. I've had a couple of groups in my men's group where I lead and I'm the therapist, but I've had some issues come up, and I've asked for their feedback, and they noticed some blind spots, and they went to work on me with a collection of axes and chainsaws and explosive materials, and it's been difficult to be the recipient of that much critiquing, but it beats the alternative. So rather than me run my group like I'm the know-it-all who is the big therapist and everybody listen to me, I do go back to beginner's mind, because everybody's just human, and the more feedback you can get from people, the more you can learn about the things that you don't see. So GE writes, I look forward to your next videos because I like to keep an open mind. And so he's on board with trying to keep an open mind, and he says he appreciates the videos. Got another short email that followed my last video, and GE says, hello Mark, thank you for the new video. I'm thinking it over still. In a sense, I feel you are right, but I think now maybe there's a twist with definitions and about how to explain them. And this is where recovery comes in. Recovery is knowing the truth about who you are and where you came from. It's knowing the truth about what your issues are, and it's working effectively on your issues. So a non-victim mentality, be responsible for your own issues, be in touch with your family of origin issues, will cleanse a wound and will disinfect it and put proper dressing on it so it can heal. But if you have a wound that's infected with victim mentality, it can stay infected for decades. People can feel victimized literally for 50 years, for 60 years, for 70 years. And the pain is fresh, and it's so much worse than it had to be if it were simply, this is an object lesson about my particular issues and my particular life for which I am blessed and thankful. So what I do with my clients is, and even with GE, is I fight this concept that as an adult you're victimized, and I look for words that will bring about a life-changing epiphany. I remember a couple I worked with many years ago where this fellow had really bad abandonment issues from his family of origin, and he married a perfectly good woman who loved him, but he would sabotage their relationship every week with really infantile type abandonment reactions. And every morning, on Wednesday morning for 6 months, we would meet, and I would articulate another flavor, another way that his abandonment issues had shown themselves this particular week, but he just wasn't able to do it. He just wasn't able to do the work and choke it down. So unfortunately, a perfectly good, workable marriage went by the wayside because his abandonment issues were just too big and he couldn't look at his own stuff. GE writes, I'm in a stage where I feel kind of grateful to the people who abused me. So he is taking in some insight, and he's grateful for himself, he said, but he won't thank them at all. So I respond, if you're grateful, then why not thank them? Gratitude brings joy. Gratitude is one of the healthiest emotions that you can possibly have. Bitterness brings depression. Bitterness can kill you. Bitterness can make your life utterly miserable. So GE says, thank you for your kind, empathetic reply. Good luck to you, GE. So those are some of my thoughts about victim mentality. Nobody has victimized you as an adult. You choose the right partners and they bring to you that which you need. Learn from it, stay in it as long as you have to. Stay in it until they change, or if they don't change, you might need to make a change yourself. Thanks for watching the video today. I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. I'm hoping that the Patriots win. I'm not a big fan of the Seattle Seahawks. If you haven't visited our website, check out familytreecounseling.com. There's 6 books of mine for sale there that I recommend. Excellent book on abandonment, excellent book on shame. Also, those of you who would like to work with me but really can't afford it, my fee to see me is $175, and if that's out of your range, I have this excellent new associate who's just a sponge, and she's sitting in on most of my sessions, picking my brain and asking for more and more training. And she looks different than me. She's a lot prettier than me, but she's sort of a version of Mark Smith and how he does work in this world. And her name is Dr. Amy Dansby, and you can find her on our website, front and center, familytreecounseling.com, and her fee's just $115, and you'll be getting somebody who works the way I do. And that's what I'm trying to instill in her, is do it this proven brand of Family Tree and Mark Smith. So also, if you haven't subscribed to our videos on YouTube, then of course do that. We're sneaking up, I think, on about 2,500. So thank you for watching the video. God bless.